Hey, it's me. Hello. Can you hear me? Well, here we are. We are live. 6 people are here, and we are good to go. Can everyone hear me? Everyone hear me? Good to go? All right. We're going to wait here. Get some feedback. You get feedback too? Yes, good. Sounded good. We're all here. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first week of 5 live streams. I'm going to do 5 because I think squeezing it all down to 1 with 6 epic hours was a little much last time. But I have all the games here that are new coming up to Essen this year. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about all of them. And you can type your questions in at any time, and I'll try and catch them as they come up, and I'll try to answer them as we go. We're just going to go through this one game at a time. I do want to mention a big thank you to all the people that have been joining the Carverdy's Cult Collection auction. That has been meaning a lot to me. I'm making my move from Taiwan back to the States so I can be with my family. And I'm selling, I think I calculated at 60% of my entire collection. So the money that people are using for the auction means a lot to me, and it's helping me with the move and getting a new studio ready and getting new equipment. My voice is a little gone because I spent all weekend at the Taipei Original Board Game Expo. You can think of it as their mini Spiel. What's really cool about this is that it happens always before Essen. So you want to see the newest Essen releases from Taiwan, you'll go here. But what's even cooler is that this year they had publishers from Thailand, Japan, and like Indonesia, Singapore, and they all brought their Essen releases too. In fact, like Sashi was there, and Sashi released for the first time this new roll and write. And we'll talk more about this in a second. Yes, Natsukago is awesome. I also want to mention that people who joined the auction, if the people who are the most generous, I want to give them a free gift. This is a free game from the Taipei Original Board Game Expo. Now, every year they release a new version of this. This is just a vegetable stock, which is another Taiwanese game that you may have heard of, except it's not vegetables, it's board games. So instead of eggplants, you might have like social deduction games. Instead of like carrots, you might have strategy games. And then they redo like all the artwork, and the mechanics are a little bit different. I made a video about this before, but I just want to talk about this now. So you have like kids games, family games, strategy games, and then all the games that are on all these cards are games that are at the convention. Now, yes, all of this is in Chinese, like the names of the games, but the gameplay is like super, super simple. So you could play this very, very easily. And I believe the rules are online somewhere. And if not, I made a how to teach play or how to teach and play video. So you can watch that and know everything you need to know. All right. And then, does it have better markets when it goes up to 7 when it crashes? Yes, I think it does. Because the original veggie stock has like 0, 1, 2, 5, and then it crashes to 0. But with this one, it starts off at 5 and it goes down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and then it flips over and it goes to 7, 6, 5. So you want to get it to crash quickly and then slow it down rapidly. And I think it's more interesting. I think that market change, that little twist is really, really cool. And I like it more than the original. And then, I also have a gift. I said that people who spend over, I think, $50 on the auction get a free gift from Taiwan. One of the gifts will include this. If you look closely, you could see a Taiwanese black bear holding a Taiwanese flag, punching Winnie the Pooh, scramble, and it says fight for freedom. Now, you might think that's kind of weird. And, this is obviously Taiwan. I don't know what country this is. But Taiwan jet fighter pilots actually wear this patch on their jacket. I kid you not. Like, this is an actual thing that fighter pilots wear on their jackets here in Taiwan. I only have this because my wife went to a defense expo and picked some of these up. Like, imagine a defense expo is like a board game convention, but instead of board games, it's just military weaponry and drones. It's so bizarre. I went to one a few years ago. It's really bizarre. All right. On to the games. So where to begin? I think we'll begin with Sashi. I think this game I'm going to begin is this one. Come Sail Away. Now, I did a teach and play of this and a video review of this, and I honestly think this is the best game coming out of Asia this year. Yeah, I think this could be game of the year for me because it's just so smooth. And the only problem that I have with this game is that when you look at this, you think, oh, it's a big box game. You're going to get a big box experience. But instead, you get like a 30 minutes gameplay, like 30, 40 minutes, maybe if you're new, gameplay. And that can feel disappointing, at least for me at first. But then I thought to myself, like, like Azul is like 30 to 40 minutes. And no one has a problem with Azul being that short. So why can't Azul just, be Azul? So why can't Come Sail Away just be Come Sail Away? This is a collaboration with Sashi and Daryl Chow. Daryl Chow runs Orca, which is a Singapore publisher. Yes, I'm born the train roll so it means a whole series of rolling rights. It does. Hikari83 says, ooh, I guess the number one on the train roll and write box means a whole series of roll and writes. Yes, that's actually true. This says 2 on it, and I don't know where any of my games are. Like, I did the auction, I emptied out all my shelves, and I put everything back because everything was in my living room, and now I don't know where everything is. I knew it was here. There it is. I'll go get it. Can you imagine that? Like, you go to sleep one night, and you wake up, and then someone rearranged all the games on your shelves. How would that make you feel? Would that be frustrating? Do you find yourself naturally just going here for this game, and then you realize, oh, wait, it's not there anymore? Anyway, so this is, let's make a bust out the dice game. And if you notice here, there's a 1. And that's a 1 because Newsboys is a 2. Well, I think Newsboys is 2 because that's a 1. And they're, approximately the same size. And this is, I think, a fairly standard size for a certain Japanese printer. Oh, for one printer here in Taiwan, because he uses a printer here in Taiwan. But going on to this, Come Sail Away is Asia's game of the year. I played it 15 times already. You're right, Kenny. I think it is. It's just so smooth. I can't explain it. Like, you just pick 1 to 2 cards. You take those meeples, and then you just Macala drop them on your boat. And that's it. And before you know it, you're halfway through them already. And it just feels so effortless. Like, it's just so smooth. And then you realize, oh, it's the end of the game, and I lost because I wasn't paying attention. And the colors and the artwork are just so great. It just feels so different. What I really, really love is that, like, these cards here, and I just open it up for you guys because we have plenty of time. I think I timed it to about 15 minutes per game, so I could take my time. So these cards, let's see if I can find the yellow. Yeah. So these cards here, you could see have little symbols there for the colorblind to help our color challenge gamer friends. So look at the yellow is a crescent moon, right? And the red is a circle. Well, if you look at the meeples themselves, like, it's so cool. Like, you can see red's head is a little circular, maybe. There you talk out of focus. And then yellow's hands are in the shape of a crescent moon. Like, he didn't have to do that, but I like those little twists, those subtle changes in UI and UX, I think really, really impressed me. Because I don't think a lot of games go that extra, not extra mile, but extra inch, I think is how I want to phrase it. The people ask, like, does this game box have to be this big? And I'm going to say, yeah, like, it's pretty packed. I have everything here in baggies. I'm sure you could do like a 3D print insert, but even with that, like, it's pretty compact. You could do a smaller one, but you know what? I'm glad I don't have to oink these components into this box. I'm glad I don't have that headache. I really don't want it either. So handsome. Is that the game? Is it me? I hope it's me. That's me. I know. That's Steve. I know you, Steve. I'm watching you, Steve. So here's Come Sail Away. I think it's the game of the year. If you are going to Essen, this is one of the games I think you should run for because I think it will sell out. This weekend at the Taipei Original Board Game Expo, Sashi brought a couple of these, and these sold out like almost immediately. Like, I think on the first day they sold out, and the second day There's 3 days. So the second day, it just sold out and it was gone. And everyone was pretty upset. I remember on Sunday, I think someone was trying to buy the demo copy because they just really, really wanted this game. And it's really that good. So we're going to put this here on this chair here. Moving on. Don't worry about the game being big. It looks so good on the shelves. You want it to stick out. Yeah, it does. Like it's just nice here. And if you do it facing, all that yellow just pops. So good. When I usually do red on my thumbnails, but when I saw this yellow, I'm like, no. You're doing a yellow thumbnail. This one's not going to go back to the pile. It's going to go back to this shelf here with games that I'm saving. So this is the big shelf. This is the 5x5. Most of these games here, like 99%, are the ones that are being on the auction. The games on this little shelf here, I'm keeping. Well, I'm keeping 99% of them. I've made some last minute tough decisions. Okay, moving on. Let's just jump straight to another publisher. Okay, I think Tiger and Dragon is an older release. This came out in 2021, but this one is from Itten. This is actually originally is from ArcLight Games from Japan. Now, ArcLight Games, if you don't know who ArcLight Games is, they run Tokyo Game Market, which is the biggest convention in Japan. And Tokyo Game Market, I believe, is the largest convention for independent board game publishers in the world. Something like 500. And if you've never gone, I definitely recommend you go. Think of the Taipei original board game shorts. I can assume you'll cover new games from there and interviews from there. Yes, Gary, I will. I didn't have time to do shorts. I was in meetings all day yesterday. It was just a lot to do. So my voice is kind of gone. I have more shorts that I want to drop off, and a lot of new games that I definitely want to review. Some of those games were demoed at Taiwan Original Board Game Expo, but we'll be finished manufacturing by like mid-October, and then I'll get some copies and I'll do some reviews for everyone. Yeah, Tiger Dragon just came to the US. It did at Gen Con. I don't know how easily accessible it is. It looks great on the shelf. Like if you want shelf presence, like just bam, like that neon, it just shouts out. And it's really, really cool. A few years ago, there was a great like a hand-shading game called Tichu, and there were some problematic images for the cover. I mean, it's kind of racist. I don't know. I always look at cover. I think if you look at a cover and you have to ask yourself, is that racist? Maybe it's a bad cover and you should go with something better. But I really, really love this game. What I didn't like about Tichu is what I don't like about Mahjong is that the scoring is just so convoluted. It's so unnecessarily complicated. And this one is just very simple. Like you get to 10 points and you put these little tokens here. Get to 10 points and you win. That's it. Very, very simple. But like Tiger and Dragon comes with like these nice little like mahjong tiles that are just so nice. So instead of cards, you have like these great tiles that just really just pop out on the board. And when you put them on here, like on the player boards, it just looks so good. It's really, really good. I think this is one that I think will sell out. Maybe. I think Oink is going to bring a ton of copies, but I think they'll sell out. So I would recommend that if you're going to Essen, like these will be two of the games that I think you should run and get because they think they will sell out. Tiger Dragon plays great at, I don't think it plays well at 2. I think maybe 3, 4, and maybe 5 is also really good. The best and the worst player count by far is 4, and that's the 2v2 model. And if you could just sync with your partner, it's a great experience. But if you can't sync with your partner, if you're here and they're somewhere else, it's a very terrible experience. And at least that's how I felt. I'm like, dude, can't you just pick up what I'm putting down here? Come on. I need points. But I love the storage solution. It's a little tight, like a la Oink. This was originally an ArcLight game, and then Oink picked up the international distribution rights. When this first released in 2021, it sold out in like an hour or two because it's based off of an older Japanese game. Now, what's really cool about this game is that it comes with like different styles of play. So each round, you have a different scoring possibilities here. And while there is Japanese here, like this is pretty much language independent. And like each round, you can play by a different like rule set. And there's tons of them there. And it doesn't make that much of a difference, but I like that it's there. I like that choice, and I like that option, and it just makes it, I don't know, a little bit more refreshing each time. It's really bad going to Essen, but not showing up until Friday afternoon. I did notice that Game Nerds, the pre-order of Tiger Dragon was shipping. Yeah. Yeah. Nikosi Dice Viewprint is probably going to be gone in 10 minutes. So that's another one. But yeah, Tiger and Dragon and Come Sail Away are, I think, the two best games at that booth. I feel bad for saying that about Itten because I love Itten's games. But yeah, these two are really high on my list for this year. Let's move on to Nuts A Go-Go, because this game is fun. It's pure fun. Now, it's a little hard to open, but I think that's a good thing. Usually games, oh my God, games can be kind of easy to pop open, but this one's hard. And the reason why you want it to be difficult is because, like, you have all these components in the box. And this game is so bananas. Like, you take the box here, you dump all of these, obviously, without the bags, and you take Mr. Peanut here, if you can see you focus, thank you, autofocus, and you stick him in here, and then, hopefully he's standing, and then you just go, and then at this time, like using one hand, you take all these shapes, and they're weird. Like sometimes they're cones, some are donuts, some look like mushrooms, like mushroom nuts. Some look like these little barrels or dice, and you take them and then you shove them into this itty bitty cup, like this very, very tiny cup. And then as soon as your cup is full, someone grabs this and starts counting down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then everyone stops. And if some fall off, that's fine. And then there are a few ways you could play this. Then you could like dump it out in front of you. I like to keep it in the cup. And then one person, the person who got Mr. Nut, he takes one of the nuts out of his cup, only using one hand. And if nuts fall off out of the cup, then they're out of the game. And then each person around the table has to take out the same nut. And if they can't, then you're eliminated from the game. And that's it. But it's so much fun because the cup is ridiculously small. What's really great for this is it's great for kids because kids have those tiny fingers, unlike my massive sausage fingers. That's my favorite trick-taking game. Ooh. Nikosi Dice is a really good trick-taking game, Kenny, but I don't know if Nikosi Dice is my favorite. I think I got to go with some other ones that I just really resonate with me more. But this is Nuts A Go-Go. I think it's a really good family game. Not the best game for a pandemic release, but I think we're post-pandemic now, and I think it's okay to be touching lots of stuff. Whew. But that is Nuts A Go-Go from Itten. And if you can see here on the back of the cover here, like just kind of like how ridiculous it is. I do want to mention though that like, yeah, that cup, it's just really funny. I do want to mention that there are, I think, 3 or 4 rules to play, like rule sets to play, but essentially they're all pretty much the same. Get nuts, put them in your cup, and then pull them out like one at a time, and don't lose your nuts. Yes, they're about the same. I think Ninja Master is okay. So let's go on to the rest of Itten's releases here. So these are the original Japanese releases for the Fun Brick series. So if you are a fan of Japanese games, Oink has these nice little boxes here, and Itten wanted to do these Fun Brick series with nice little boxes that are about this size comparatively. These are the original Japanese releases. I think the English releases just released. Let me see if I can find them for you. Oh my goodness, they're at the bottom. It's okay. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. I give up. I give up. Oh no, there you go. So here you go. This is the English release of Judge Domino, and here is the Japanese release of Judge Domino, and they're virtually identical. The only difference is I think slight size. I think this one's like a millimeter wider. Yeah, not that much of a difference. You can kind of tell when you look at it from this side. Like you can see that the cardboard of the box is slightly slightly thicker, girthier, sure. But I believe that some of the earlier Japanese releases, like this one, they open up from the bottom, and it was problematic, as you can see there. So they have changed that since, and now all the new ones all open from the top, just like domino here, it opens up from the top. And I did a whole series of videos about all of these, but I'm going to go through them one by one. And since I mentioned the ninja one, Hikari 83. This is a ninja one. Now this is such a great game. Like, I don't like real-time games, but this is one of the very few that I really enjoy. I do have 2 house rules, and I'll teach you the house rules really quickly. So essentially, someone's going to roll the dice into that little pentagon there. And then depending on what the dice rolls, you're going to grab the big wooden component. So you're going to grab one of the 5 ninjas, you're going to grab the shuriken up top, or you're going to grab the katana down here at the bottom. And all of those are going to be worth different points. You won't know how many points until you look at the dice. The dice will give you the values of everything. And I don't think it's too difficult. Like, if you see for each purple head you see here, if you could focus, autofocus, there we go, cover me. Then that purple ninja is worth 1 point. But if you see the ninja vanish smoke, then it's minus a point. So this would be 0 points. But if you only have the vanish, I believe it's negative points. You lose points from it. And so once all the dice are rolled, you're going to run and grab things. But you can only grab 2 things because you have 2 hands, 1 thing per hand. And if some of them are, let's see here. There are some that have like little katanas on there. And there's some that have little, if I could find it, my goodness. Not all these dice are the same, which makes it really, really fun and interesting. Some of them have the shuriken. So like if you have the shuriken, it will just be how many shurikens are rolled. That's how many points this is, I believe. And then, no, I don't think this is worth points. I think it just goes around the table to see who rolls the die. This is the clutch of the game. This is amazing. If you have the most points, then you get the katana and you put the katana here. And if there are more katanas rolled than shurikens, then someone can grab the katana. If they grab the katana, they steal 10 of your points. And it's just painful. So what happens is that if you're winning the game, if you're ahead in points, you just get like a ton of anxiety just all over you. You're just covered with anxiety because you're thinking, I got to look at katanas, I got to grab a katana. And you can only grab one thing because your other hand is running for this katana because you don't want someone to steal points from you because it can be painful. And sometimes it's usually how people win. Someone just grabs it and wins. Brutal. The 2 house rules that I have are that before you roll the dice, everyone has to do a ninja pose, and I believe that's in the rules. Mine is like I have to do elbows up. You have to do your elbows up like this. You have to do some sort of ninja pose while someone runs, and that way your hands are kind of locked. But I do elbows up, so that way it's just it's just a little bit more fun. And then the round ends like you stop grabbing things when you say how many ninja heads there are, regardless of the smoke. So if you see like this, you would just say like 3 or whatever. But my rule is that you have to say ninja 3. And it sounds so stupid. It's such a stupid house rule, but I love it. I love it. And I have one buddy of mine who's really good at counting the dice. And he would just shout out the numbers really quick, like ninja 7, ninja 5, ninja 4. And like people wouldn't be able to grab things. And it's just fun. It's really, really fun. I think this is my favorite out of the Fun Brick series so far. Even the newer releases that won't be there. There were 2 releases in Japan this year. Let me see if I can grab them for you. There was Tower of Doubt, which came out in Japan. Now this is an older game that got reprinted with like newer, nicer components. It's like a 2-player deduction game. And this is Wonder Bowling, which I have to defeat Mike Delicio one day, maybe next year, hopefully. And it's just bowling with a stick, and it's amazing. These sadly couldn't finish the printing in time, and they won't be at Essen this year. But maybe they bring them just in case to demo. or to show around. So I would definitely ask and then see if they're there and see if you can just play them because, oh yeah, they're fun. In Japan, they have some conventions that they go to where they have a giant version of this that's like the size of this table, and you're just swinging to hit. And the goal of this game, though, isn't to knock over all the pins. A strike in this game is to knock all but one. And it's, that little twist is so good. Moving on. So that was Ninja Master. Probably the second favorite, I think, out of most people's is this one. And that's Viking Seesaw, because it is just, there's the good times. I think Semi-Co-op, like the webcomic, they do great work, by the way, but they make fun of like board games and board game industry and culture. We recently switched from Balinese coffee to this I think Colombian coffee, and I think I like the Colombian coffee more. Viking Seesaw is great, but for this, my only problem with Viking Seesaw is that it only plays up to 4, and I think it could have played at 5. I really do. But yeah, that's it. That's the game right there. And it plays exactly like you think. And I'm sure there are like several games like this that play very similarly, where it's just a saw. It's a Viking boat, and you put things on the boat, and it maybe teeters in the wrong direction. And then if it falls off, you have to grab one of this and take all the pieces that fell off and then put them on the boat. The twist to this game, because there have been several balance games over the years, the twist to this game, which I find really interesting, is that all the pieces are weighted and shaped differently. So it makes it really, really interesting. And like these are like one of these, I think the gold is the heaviest. And then I believe it's the metal ball here is the second heaviest. Then it's the silver cube. Then it's the red ball here. And then I believe it's the captain. And then I believe it's this one. And then I think this is the lightest. But having these all shaped differently makes it really hard to stack on the boat. And not to mention that these guys have hooks. So if you're like playing with me and my friends, we'll do cheeky stuff like this, you know, by putting them on the edge there. That way, when it tips, it will fall. It will fall. And it's just becomes like this hilarious moment there where you're balancing these guys. And it shouldn't be fun. You go into this game thinking, okay, this is just going to be silly, but it's so much fun. And I love that has like that Jenga energy where every time it's someone's turn, like there's a little bit of tension at the table and everyone's kind of watching and hoping for the calamitous event. And like, it's really, really good. Yeah, but those two I think are my favorite. And I think if you told me that Viking Seesaw is your favorite, I'm like, yeah, I get it. I totally understand why. If you said Ninja Master is your favorite, yeah, I get it. I totally understand why. Both of those games are really good, and I think they're great additions to your collection. Do you need both? I do. So I have both. And they definitely made the massive call too. Now you also get these little hair bands here. These are things you don't put on the boat. What these do, because people always ask me for this for some reason, is that these balls roll away on the table. So you put the balls in here so that they don't roll all the way to Kingdom Come. You don't need to, you're supposed to put everything in there, but you can't fit everything in there. So I just tell people to put their balls in there. Okay. Move on. Purple flag. No. Yes, they do kind of have that Oink problem where it's hard to fit all the components in. All right, moving on. That one, that one, that one. Now I did a series of teaching plays for. I don't know what you're talking about. What are you referring to, Tammy? What are you referring to? Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll try and. I know some little gamers might be watching. This is Judge Domino. Judge Domino. I have mixed feelings about. This is the quietest one of all the games. So you can see how Ninja Master and you can see how Ninja Master and Viking Seesaw, there was a lot of kinetic energy, a lot of highs, lots of lows. But Judge Domino is a very quiet, pensive game. And the reason why is that you're going to be line up these dominoes like up here, right? And as you're lining them up, you notice that they're all numbered. And the reason why that's important is that eventually when they're all up or someone calls a challenge, you're going to look at the either ends. And if like one's an 8 and one side's a 4, then you're always going to hit from the lowest to the highest. And the goal is to place these in a way that looks like it's not going to fall, like they're not going to tumble all together, right? But you want to place, but you kind of want it to look like it's going to fail, but it's not. And then when someone challenges, the challenge is, are they all going to fall or not? So the problem that I have with the game is that sometimes it's really obvious. Like it's really obvious you put a piece here. And then obviously, yes, like it's really far away. Obviously, it's going to fail. So it's a little bit up to the players. And sometimes you can trap players unbeknownly to them. Like they could, by not paying attention to what the other domino is on the other side, they could place the wrong number on one side, so it obviously will fail. And they could just unconsciously know that. And I play to where you kind of remind them like, hey, if you do that, it's really obvious. Maybe you want to try something different. But I do like the voting aspect of this. Like the voting is pretty interesting. And because of the voting mechanism, I think it's better at the higher player count because like you get points for how many people like I think voted against you or for you. And I find that really, really interesting because it creates this nice groupthink that you have to get into other people's mindsets. I'll make my carpal tunnel itch. Card 83. All these balance games make my carpal tunnel itch. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you, man. But you know what? I don't really use. I could feel it here, but like I don't really use a mouse anymore because I just do a touchpad. Sometimes at my like old job when there's a mouse that I had to use, it just felt weird. I'm like, why can't I use my hands? Judge Domino, really good. 3-second try is really interesting. It's my favorite component out of all 7 of the games. No, 9, because I played all 9 of the games now. It's my favorite component because, man, I just love it. And every time I walk past the itten booth, I think it's kind of annoying because they have this timer here, and it's just, that's it. That's the timer. And it's supposed to be 3 seconds. And when you play this game, you eventually hear this rhythm, this up, 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 bang. You hear that all the time, and with each tick, up, 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 bang, you hear it coming into your head each click, and it's hard for you to think. If I ask you to like name a football team, you could probably do it really quickly, but in this context, under the pressure, and you're hearing it makes it harder to think of one. And I love how smooth this looks because it's actually, this is like a nice click with the ticks, but here's an arrow, right? Because it's pointing down. Like these little inches that people do with design, I think is really, really cool in the game. And that's just the best timer. Like I kind of want this at my desk and just have it there when I'm working and just maybe annoy my coworkers. I mean, if I weren't like contracted and worked at home, but I really like this one. And it's just like a trivia game where it's like name one of these, and you have to do it in 3 seconds. But the timer does it just so well, and it's adds a good fun quality to the game. So I think like maybe or maybe not you want to buy it. I don't know, but you just should definitely play it at Essen. I think it's definitely worth playing, and it's definitely hopefully you'll have a lot of fun there. I can't imagine this booth like having itten and Oink and Sashi like all in one booth is amazing. Stick collection is great. If you look here, you're basically bidding on the length of a stick, and I find that so hilarious. What I love about this is what I love most about like auction games. Like the best auction games have a little bit of fuzziness in there. Because I don't find, because if there's no fuzziness, if it's very clear of what you're bidding for, then it's just a math game. And it's just about who's better at math. And that's not as fun for me. With a little bit of fuzziness there, it's like, yeah, it's really good, but it kind of looks good. Is it kind of right? Let me elaborate a little bit more on that, because you take these sticks and you have this thing here and you put it like this. And you're supposed to put this at the center of the table, like pretty far away from everyone. and they have like this great mechanism. You take the box, you flip it around, and then now there's this little hole, and you can kind of pull a stick away, and you're supposed to like just kind of drop it in. So kind of like supposed to just like drop it in like that, or just kind of toss it in without even thinking about it. And then as it's like over here by this cup, and like I'm over here, I have to, without lifting this from the table, this has to keep contact with the table. I have to guess and see if this is the right length that I want. Because you win the game if you have like a, you win the game if you get like a nice perfect ladder. Because the sticks, I believe, are like a millimeter off from each other. And let's see if I could do it here. Like you could see, yeah, you can see here like how it's just like a millimeter, like a couple of millimeters off. And if you can create that perfect ladder, then like you win the game. And what's even cooler is that your player counters here. Yeah, that's one of the reasons. That's absolutely one of it. This is my fault actually, because you're supposed to pull that there, and I wanted to show you from the top. But yes, it's anyway. What's really cool is that your player piece here, right, is the perfect height to show you like how tall it is. Like this, the height of this is the difference of these. Let me see if I can get it just right. Yeah, right there. Like that's really neat. So it's not going the extra mile, it's going that extra inch in game design. That really, really matters. And what's even cooler is that like this is tilted. And so it's not even straight up. If it were straight, that's one thing. But because of the way this is, like it's always going to be tilted. So you never know. And you never know 100%. And as you're here, what happens is that when you play the game, and if you watch the teach and play, like you put it up and then the game begins and then everyone leans. And if you go to Essen, I'm sure this will be out. And you'll just see this table of people just leaning off to the side, constantly leaning, squatting down. And it's really fun. And it's cool that you're bidding with your points. Like there's no money in the game. You begin with like X amount of points, and then you slowly bid to you losing that. You're bidding with your money, and your money is your points at the end of the game. So this is a really fun auction game. Like if you just want a nice game that's all about auctioning and not much else, but just to have like that, scratch that itch of auction games, this is a great one, I think. Really, really good. This is more sanitary drunk pokey game. Yeah, it could be that way. I mean, you could retheme this as a pokey themed game. That would be great, right? That would be a great game. Coffee, coffee, coffee. All right, more and more people are joining. I'm very happy. So we talked about Come Sail Away. We talked about Metsugoga. We talked about Tiger and Dragon. I just love looking at this box. Just like this neon, just so good. Let's jump back to Saashi really quickly. In addition to Come Sail Away, and he will have and his new roller, right, which I'll get to very, very soon, I promise. Newsboys. He'll also have some of his older games. Like he'll have In Front of the Elevators and Before the Guest Arrives. It's really funny. If you notice mine, like I used to take mine outdoors, so like my blue is kind of faded. If you want to see what the blue color should look like, it should look like this black. So every time I see a new copy of this, I see that light blue versus the dark blue. I'm like, man, maybe I should just buy a new cover. Anyway, these two will be available at Essen. If you haven't played In Front of the Elevators, In Front of the Elevators is such a great game because the concept is so good. You want to be the last person onto the elevator because that way you're the first person off the elevator, right? That's the theory anyway. And you're going to get like a handful of cards and you're just going to play them. And there will be 3 elevators there. And each elevator, if I could find the elevator cards. Yes, here. Oh, no, that was a bad idea. Each of the elevator cards will give you different points. So like this elevator wants grandpa and dad, and if they get in, their points double. And if you're the first person to get onto the elevator, then you're two. If you're the fourth person, you get 4 points. So you want to be the last person on, and you want to be ideally one of these because then you'll get 8 points. And then this one is for the kids, and this one is for mom and grandma. And you're just putting cards down in a queue. Now that's one thing, but the twist of the game is that certain characters will cut in front of others. So you can see grandpa cuts in front of daughter, daughter cuts in front of brother, dad cuts in front of grandma. And it's a very, very smooth game. That's just a lot of fun to play because it's pretty intuitive. Like the teach is not hard at all. But the best thing about this game is like the rules. There's one rule here with a little girl. If the little girl is played, then someone ahead of the line from the same family has to go and protect her because the little kid just can't be on her own because she'll burn the whole mall down. The best rule though is this one, simulated down here. If you notice 1, 2, 3 cards here crossed out, and that means that if you put like 3 dads in a row, like 3 dads in the same line, I guess they call it the cafe rule. I think it's just that all 3 dads look at each other like Tom, Bill, John, and they all go off to a cafe and get drunk together. And if you're able to trigger that, then you collect those cards out of the line and you get a point for the end of the round, which is really, really cute. And then each round, like they escalate with points. So like that's for round 2, and there's one for round 3, and that's it. I think this game plays really well at 3, 4, and 4. I don't recommend it at 2. At 2, you kind of have to do 2 families each, and that's just not as fun for me. I think 3 and 4 is where it's at. The biggest problem that I have with the Sashi games that come in this box is, and I can't recommend this enough, is that these little plastic sleeves that come with the cards, keep them because you need them to put the cards away. Otherwise, the cards are just going to shift in here, and then you get like a box with like a giant pregnant belly, and like that's not fun. That's not fun at all. Yeah, but these 2 games will be there at Essen as well. But in very small numbers. Like he's mostly going there for Come Sail Away and for Newsboys, which we'll get to in a little bit. Just hang in there. Let's see here. So if you wanted to pick these games up, I strongly recommend them, and you can pick them up. And that's this one. Come in front of the elevators. Now, before the guests arrive, gets a little bit of love and hate, I think, from the community. Like some people like it, and some people don't. Some people think it's too simple. I like it because despite the fact that it's very, very simple, like the mechanics are not too difficult, I think what's happening is that it's missing a mechanic. I think usually from like the designers here in Taiwan have this rule where you say if you want a game, you make it 3 mechanics. You need 3 like kind of core mechanics working in unison for it to feel deep enough for players. If you want something that's more approachable for kids, then you try to keep it at 2 and not more than that. And I think that's a good rule of thumb. Again, this is one that's definitely lighter. Essentially what you're doing is you take these cards and you put them in this weird order. Like you kind of drop them. Where is it? Where can't I? Yes, here we go. You put it like this. So like you put these play cards out here, and all the cards kind of look like this. Like there's a person there with hands. So grabby. And then there's stuff that they want, right? And that's the idea, is that this person is picking things up because the guests are arriving and you got to clean up the house. So you, whether it's going to be a 2, 3, or a 4-player game, you're going to put the cards here. And then on your turn, you draft or you take cards from any row or column. And then you just put them in front of you. If you get a person, you get a person. And then eventually you'll grab like things that they can collect, like this little bow. And it's color coded. And then she can hold 2 things. As soon as she grabs 2 things, then you flip her over, and then you can score those. So things that aren't a person that's not full or have their hands full won't score you points at the end of the game. So you want to make sure that everyone has like is cleaning, right? And then after a few rounds, you count up your score, and whoever wins, wins. And I can understand when people felt that this game was too light for them. But I am going to say that even though it's still light, it's really well designed. Like there's not much fat to the game. Like there's not much unnecessary chrome. And compared to other games that I've played that are very light, and there aren't that many rules, and there's something wrong with games like that because you need games for the whole spectrum of gamers, right? You need the heavy games for heavy gamers, and you need light games for or the people who want light games. You need games for kids. This one does it really well. Like it's very tightly designed. That like there's not much to it, and it's very straightforward, but it flows really, really smoothly. And those are these two games. If you're wondering why the art looks similar, that's because Sashi and Sashi is a publisher with Sashi, the designer, and his wife, Takako, who does all the art. And if you're curious where Sashi and Sashi gets his name from, does anyone know? Does anyone want to take a guess why the publisher is called Sashi and Sashi and not Sashi and Takako? Let's see. Kenny asks, what do we got to go to talk you into adding your copies of Harvest and Pathogen to your auction? Newsboys 2. Wow, that's hard, man. Like maybe I could Harvest, definitely not, because I know the publisher, but I don't know them well enough. Pathogen maybe, because I know Quan well enough that maybe I can ask him if he could mail me a copy. But Pathogen will be at Essen this year, and you can pick it up. It's really, really good. Where do we got to go to talk to you? Because you corrected to what do we got to do. If you ask me where you got to go, you got to come here to Taipei, and hopefully not my living room. That'd be kind of weird if you just suddenly popped up. Isn't it a husband and wife duo? Yes, but that's not why they're called Sashi and Sashi, because Sashi is just him. Why is it Sashi and Takako? You can even pre-order Pathogen still if you're going to Essen. That's right. Thank you, Tammy. Tammy says you can pre-order Pathogen if you're going to Essen, and you can. Or if you have a friend who's going to mule games for you from Essen, which is not too hard. I think, at least I think so. Anyway, these are the games will be here. Also, in addition, and I think you'll hear it here first, is that if you want the original Wind the Film, it will be at Essen. This will be at Essen. Now, this was licensed as Photograph by Madigo Games, the French publisher. And Madigo was like, no. We licensed Wind the Film. We are selling it as Photograph. If people want the game, they buy a Photograph from a Madigo. And that's totally fine. But they said, but if you bring just a little bit of Wind the Film, that's okay. It's okay. So if you want to play this game, I mean, Photograph is probably easier to get. But if you want the original, you can get it at Essen. And this is not the easiest game to find outside of Asia, or even in Asia. It's not that easy. But this is, I think, one of Sashi's best games. I think it's his second best game. If you want to ask me what I think his first best game is, I think it's Come Sail Away, which is already on my shelf on my never going on the auction list. I don't know why they changed the Photograph. I think it's because of the problem with the name, because kids today don't know what film is. And I have played this game at a game group, I think sometime this year. And someone, like a college kid, someone like in their 20s, literally said to me, why is it Wind the Film? And I'm like, I just felt old very quickly. What about Remember Our Trip? Kenny asks, what about Remember Our Trip? And man, I don't know. I talked to Sashi and I asked him if Remember Our Trip is going to be at Essen, and he said probably not. So that's a big shame. Windy the film. But you never know. Maybe it comes up. I think they're talking about doing another print run for Remember Our Trip. And hopefully it'll be ready for next year or for a game market. I mean, in your favorites, I thought it was number one. Well, hey, opinions change over time. And I don't know. I find, and like Come Sail Away came out, and I'm just like, I was just blown away. And right now, it's my favorite Saashi game because it's just so smooth. Like I play it, and I'm just like the BTS gets to me. I'm like smooth like butter. It just comes out. It just comes out. Why the Film is a great game. It's a really good game. It plays very similarly to Lost Cities. If you're a big board game hobby player from very, very back in the day, but unlike Lost Cities, all the choices in this game are bad. They're all bad. You have to choose between one bad decision or the other, and it's just brutal. It's so brutal. You're basically getting games, drafting cards, again, like from the table, as you can see here. Drafting cards from the table. And what's so interesting about this game is that it's like Bonanza, where you what I mean, that's like your cards in your hand, you can't change the order. So you can't change the order. And when you play cards down, you have to play the card like that's I believe that's on the left. But before you do that, you're allowed to take one card and move it back, and then you can do it. And this is the whole idea of winding the film, right? And you're kind of forced and stuck into this pattern. And the idea is that you're trying to lay these numbers down in numerical order from like lowest to highest. And you get points for like how long your run is. And you could tell here, like on the side of the cards here, where it says like 6. And you could skip a number. That's fine. Like, so the next one can be 7, 8, or 9. You just don't want to do like 10 or 12 because that would be, you would break it and then you lose points. And this game is good. This game plays well at 2, 3, and 4. Like it scales really, really well. And not many card games do that. The ending rule with the sunset is a little fiddly with the rules, and I always have to review it when I play. But it's just really good. It's a really excellent card game. And when card games come out from Japan, I'm always asking myself, is it better than Wind the Film? And usually my answer is no. I wish they make a version of Wind the Film in the same cover format as In Front of the Elevator and Guests Arrive. They might. You never know. From 1 to 3. What a fail. 1, 2, 3. The Kenny asked from 1 to 3. What a fall. I don't think it's that much of a fall. Like all 3 games are really good. Like Wind the Film, Come Sail Away, and Remember Our Trip. I think that on any given day, like I might feel a different way. Like they're kind of interchangeable. Like Wind the Film is a great card game. Nice small box game. Plays well at 2, 3, and 4. Really, really good. Remember Our Trip is so unique because it plays unlike any other game I've ever played. And every time I play it, I feel like you're like 4 grandpas or grandmas arguing about the trip that you had. It's like, no, the building was over there. Eiffel Tower was here. I remember it. And you're finding this weird memory area control on this map. And then as soon as you have enough like evidence that the building was here, see, I told you the building was here. Then you put the building there. That's just really, really interesting. There's no other game I know that does that. And it takes a while to wrap your head around. Like the first time when I teach this game, and it's someone's first time, like they just don't get it. Like most people don't get it until maybe a third of the way through the game. And then they're like, oh, I just realized what I was doing wrong. And oh yeah, Jay, you're going to win probably, right? I'm like, sorry, bad teacher. For being something, yeah, it's so unique, right? It's so unique. Come Sail Away, it's just so smooth. It's so smooth. And it just looks so good. I think it's his best looking game too. And maybe I'm shallow like that. I don't know. Oh, you might also get like these nice little bookmarks. These are cool. Sashi has a lot of little swag he does for his stores. And you can get these at his store if you buy games from his online shop. And he'll probably have some at Essen to give away. So if you want this copy, if you want like this version of the cover art and not the Matago, I think it's the same thing except it's all blue, and it says photograph, which isn't. How do you explain the winding of the film with the cards? Like, I don't know. But anyway, if you want the original box cover, then you should run to that booth because I think he said something like 30 copies, like something small like that, like 20 or 30 copies. Very, very small. Like these would be gone. These would be gone in the first day, I promise. And that's these games here. I'm going to go now to, wow, it's already 11. It's an hour and I've burned through all these games. Do you guys have any questions so far about any of the games that we've been talking about? No questions? All right, moving on. We're going to talk about some of the games from Oink. Because we haven't talked about Oink much. We talked about Tiger and Dragon. So here we are. We have now. I did a big culling, right? I think on the auction there's 242 games on that auction, and they're going to be more. Yeah, you heard it here first. I can't keep a lot of these Essen preview games. So a lot of the Essen games that I'll be doing for the Essen preview series for this whole week, I will also go into the auction block, and I think I'm just going to bundle it in one giant package. So like you could just bid on all these Essen releases coming to Essen this year. And I think, yeah, that's kind of cool. So if you can't make it Essen, then you can just buy this big bundle of Essen games that are going to go to Essen. So that'll probably push it up to, I don't know, like 250, 260 games that are going to come in on the auction. Kenny asks, does Sashi always publish games so quickly? Come Sail Away just came out and already getting new Newsboys. No, I would say this is untypical of him. But, Sashi is getting bigger and bigger. He's getting more and more fans internationally. He doesn't have the marketing that like Oink does. Like Oink's on all the socials. So is itten is on most socials as well. But like Sashi's kind of only on Twitter. I think that'll change in the coming years. But so he doesn't have that much of like a social media presence as like Oink does. Oink will come out with like 2 or 3 games a year for sure, like every year, like clockwork. Itten will come out with a handful of games every year. I think Sashi takes his time. He takes a little bit more time with his games and he releases them. This just happened to be this way. In fact, like Sashi said that he wasn't sure if this is going to go to Essen. The manufacturer for this one is here in Taiwan. Actually, it's like, I don't know, like a 10-minute drive from here. Like one of the things that's so cool about being here was that when I talk to Taiwanese publishers or even like publishers in Japan who will be like, Jay will give you a review copy. Oh, that's great. Is your game being manufactured by by the manufacturer here? And like, yeah. Oh, that's great. I'll just contact the owner of the manufacturer. I'll just ride on my scooter there in 10 minutes, pick up the game, and then come home. It's great too because the manufacturer is right next to Costco, so I can just pick up like a Costco hot dog and then come home. Oink Games also has that Nintendo Switch platform too. Yes, they do. Hikari 83. If you want to know something that's really cool, is that Jun Sasaki, who doesn't put himself much into his. He's a little bit more quiet, but he's the founder of Oink, and he's the designer for most of these games here. He actually used to design video games for Nintendo. He was a video game licensee, so I think some of his games came out for Game Boy Advance. And I remember this year I had dinner. I had dinner with Itten, Saashi, and Jun Sasaki. I sat right next to Jun Sasaki. I sat right next to Sasaki, and I told him that what I love about Oink Games is that you feel like an analog version of 8-bit Nintendo games. And he said that, and as soon as I said that he just had this big grin on his face. And he's like, I actually used to design video games for Nintendo. So I'm really happy that you said that, because that's how I viewed my games. And I asked him, like, how do you feel that your games, like, you're coming full circle now, like your games are now on Switch? How does that feel? And he said that he couldn't be happier. Like it's so amazing that he has board games and video games now on Nintendo. And he talked about how he likes I think he said that he likes all the digital versions of them on Switch, but I think you could tell that he likes some more than others. I asked him, like, which game do you think translated the best from board game to Switch version? And he said that Fake Artist Goes to New York was probably his favorite transition of it. And I totally get why. Because when you have like social deduction games and then each person's screen, they could see what they're doing, it makes it really, really cool. Sorry, there was like this beeping sound, and I thought there's a bomb in my apartment, but no, or my microwave, but I don't have a microwave. But it was just a truck outside. But yeah, Jun Sasaki used to design video games for Nintendo, and that's why all these games have that nice reduced mechanic-wise feel, and they're kind of very approachable that way. So a long time ago, I called I think 20 Oink games. I said the best and worst of Oink games, and I called them in half. And the other half I donated to a friend of mine. The other half who's trying to raise money for cancer research, and the other half I kept. And then I called it again, and these are the ones that I'm keeping. So these 6 are the. Oh no, sorry. These 7 are the ones I'm keeping. These 7 are the ones I'm keeping. These are the ones that I gravitate to the most out of Oink, and these are the ones that I would recommend. If you're going, I'm not sure if all of these will be there either. So these maskman is kind of hard to find, but I'll work my way through them, and I'll talk about all of these for you in just a second. I need some water. My voice is drying up. Take me a second. Going over here. All right. Ooh, dang, the tiger and dragon so big compared to the others. Yeah, this is very unusual, right? The reason why is because it's really originally published by ArcLight Games, which is a bigger Japanese publisher. They're the ones who run Game Market. And then Oink just wanted to do the international distribution. So, yeah, I think it's slightly smaller than 6. But I will say that I like this more than some of these games here. Because this is just so good. So good. I love this game a lot. And I love the table presence too. Woo. Excuse me. All right, moving on. So this is a hand shading game, but you're not doing it with the cards. You're doing it with these nice mahjong tiles. It has this great little neon look to it. All the tiles are numbered, so and it has that tiering of 1 1 2 2 3 3s 4 4s 5 5s. When you win a set, no one else can follow you, then you get to burn 1 card face down, and then you can keep playing. And if you play an odd, then someone else has to play an odd. If you play an even, someone else has to play an even. And this is a wild for any even. This is a wild for any odd, or vice versa. I can't remember exactly which right now. But yeah, this is a great game. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. If you play a 5, another person has to play a 5. And if they can't do it, they pass. And then until someone else plays a 5, if you have played a 6, then someone else plays a 6. So obviously a 10 is easier to follow, a 9 is easier to follow. 1 is almost impossible. So it's really hard to follow. But if you have the tiger or dragon, it's really, really easy. The tiger does even numbers. So if someone plays a 4, then you can play a tiger and defense and be like, okay, then I could block any even number, and then you burn a tile, and then you play another tile. Really, really simple, but man, it's really good because the tiles that you want are changed from round to round, the ones that you get score you points, and you can kind of see what people are going for, and it's that's really, really cool. I love it. This is a really good game. These are the ones that I'm keeping. Fake Artist Goes to New York is this classic Oink game, right? This is probably one that's sold well. I believe 10 years ago, Tom Vassell tried to bring this to the States. And he said, I wanted to, but Jun Sasaki was, oh man, I have so much respect for him from his publisher standpoint, because when he tried to pitch these games to Europe and even to America, or people approached him, I want to bring your game to Europe. I want to bring your game to America. We want a bigger box, and we want to change the box art. And Sasaki sounds no. And French publisher after French publisher, no, just make the bigger box and we could sell it because it's too small. No one's gonna buy it. And he's no, it has to be this size. And American publishers no one's gonna pay $30 for this because it's too small, and they don't think they get that ROI. And Sasaki sounds no, it stays. And he was really hard on that for over 10 years. And now, 10 years later, he has, I think they've been around for 12 years now. Now he has a factory in Europe, and these are coming out there more and more often, and they all still look like this. So he stuck to his guns, he stuck to the model that he wanted, and he got it, and he won. So I'm really happy for him. But Fake Artist Goes to New York. Pretty simple idea. You have all these markers here and all these little dry erase boards. The dry erase boards are very, 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 very tiny. Let me show you how tiny they are. There you are, like this. And you're going to take all these, one for each player. And one player is like the master, and then everyone else is or artist. And there's one fake artist amongst them. And you're going to give like a category, like, I don't know, like vehicle. And then you're going to write the answer here. So it could be bus. And then one of them is going to be blank, or it could be like an X. Or like I like to typically write a question mark. Or I might write the word fake on there. Because if you don't write anything on one, people kind of know. So then you shuffle it up, you pass it back to all the players, they all look at it. So everyone knows what it is except for one person. Then you're going to pass around like a piece of paper, and they're going to use this to draw on it. And they draw a line. Each person draws one line, like one continuous line. You can't do dots, you can't do lots of things. And then you kind of have to deduce who the fake artist is. And sometimes it's really obvious, and sometimes it's really difficult. And sometimes it's so painfully obvious, and it's hilarious, and and you can't stop laughing. It's really, really good times. I really like this game. I couldn't auction this off because I would feel bad. I've had this in my collection for quite a while, and these markers, I think, have all, some of them, I forget which, have dried up. So that's a problem. And then like I am not good at finding markers like this size that can fit into this box. So usually when I play a Fake Artist Goes to New York, I'll take out like my box for just one and just use those components there. So yeah, that's one problem about it. I think they've found a better supplier, and so that doesn't happen as often with the newer printings. But this is consistently on like everyone's list. There are lots of people, not just me, who make lists about best Oink games, best games from Oink, and Fake Artist Goes to New York is consistently on that list. However, how high it is, that depends. Startups. I think Shut Up and Sit Down did their series of Oink games, and they said that this was their favorite, and I agree with them. This is probably my favorite of theirs. I'll explain that in a second. I really like Scout more. This is the original box. I don't know if you've seen it. I think Scout is a better game than Startups. But I didn't like the Oink color version. I like the original. I already had the original, so I didn't want to get the Oink version. Also, the circus thing was kind of weird. I don't know. Circus is just, I'm one of those people that circuses just kind of weird me out. I get that Austin Powers vibe in me. And yeah, like these two are so good. Anyway, Scout is a great game to get. They will probably not run out of Scout at Essen because it was nominated for the Spiel Essen last year, right? So if you want to get Scout should be pretty easy to find out of all the Oink games because it has a little award symbol. Everyone loved it. Should be pretty easy. There are some Scout killers there, though. Most card games I play from Asia now, like Hand Shatters, I always think to myself, is it better than Scout? And most of the time, the answer no. I played one this weekend that I think is better than Scout, and I'll tell you more about that later on this year. Can you open the Tiger and Dragon box? I want to see the stuff. Sure. I opened up earlier. So here's the box. Here's the tile. So every round there are different rule sets, and if you want to go out with a 4, 5, 6, then you'll get like these many points. If you go out with a 3, 7, you get this many points, and each round you can play different ones. So each round's here. Like this is all in Japanese, but it's pretty language independent. Like once you know what it is. And these are all, and what's really cool is that you have all these instant wins here. Like you go out with a 1, you get 10 points, instantly win the game. You want to see a Japanese rule book? There you go. That is intensity. The boards here themselves like fit pretty much well in here. And yeah, here you go with the tiles. You can see that there's this here. With this game, though, with how the box works, is that you kind of have to use this. I wouldn't recommend getting rid of this insert. You could. I don't know if everything would fit. You kind of have to lay all the tiles flat in order for this box to close. These little things here are the points. So you would just pop them in here like this to show how many points you have. So everything is very clear and very open for everyone to see, which is what I love. These tiles are so great, man. These tiles are so great. I absolutely love them. Like, they look so beautiful. Like, they could have just done cards. This could have easily been a card game, and I'm so thankful that it's not. And when you just put this out on the table, like, it feels so nice. And the tiger and dragon looks so cool. There you go, right there. I'm glad I cut my fingernails last night because I noticed I didn't cut them for this weekend. And all right, yeah, but that's the insert. That's the inside of it. Thanks, looks great. No problem. Did you show the Orca game yet? No, I didn't. I'm gonna do it. I'll do it right now. How about that, Dylan? So this is Tiger and Dragon. Tiger Dragon's out. We talked about this one here. We'll put it over here. Everyone knows Scout, right? Do I need to talk about Scout? It's just so good. Like, I don't know if you've seen the original ones here. Sorry. We'll get to the Orca game. I promise, Dylan. This is what the original art looks like. And I don't know, like, this really nice. The card quality, I believe these are plastic cards, right? So the card quality could vary on how much you like it, but I think they shuffle really well. They feel nice in the hand. Yeah, but I just really love when you splay them. I just love how everything kind of pops a little bit more. I think I really like this art style more than the Oink version. And here are all the tokens here in a little bag. Now, if you look carefully on the box cover of this somewhere, you'll see here where it says plays 3 to 5, and you can actually. I think the designer on BGG, he put up a 2-player variant. The designer himself put it up there, and Oink made their own, I believe, for their 2-player variant. Either variant, I don't like. I don't like either variant. I don't think Scout is a 2-player game. I think it plays better at like the original set, like 3 to 5. I think it plays well at 3, 4, or 5. I would probably play it at 3 because it's a little bit faster. Because I love trick-taking games. I love hand-shooting games, but I hate the rule of rounds equal to player count, because I think the game overstays its welcome once you get to 4 or 5 players. I think 3 rounds is more than enough. But I don't have to go into Scout, right? Scout's really good, really good. Like, if you only get 1 Oink game, I still might go with Tiger and Dragon. If you had to get 2, I might go with Scout. There's no way Scout is a 15-minute game, maybe at 3 players. Yeah, no, you can if you're fast. Like, but yeah, I think what it means by 15 is just 1 hand, right? 1 hand is about 15. So if you play with 3 people, that could be like a 30-minute, 40-minute game. And I think that's where you want. I just want 3 rounds of Scout. When you play it at 4, like 4 rounds just feels way too much. Moving on. You want the Orca game? We'll go to the Orca game. Now, I will say what's really great about the Orca game is that I don't have the problem of putting everything into the box. Like, the box is kind of big enough to fit everything in. So we'll do the Oink test, right? The Oink test is how full is the box. The fake artist goes to New York. There's a system, obviously. Boards go then, and then the markers, right? So there's a system for this one. Tiger and Dragon, there's a system, right? You got to put the tiles in there flat. And then the boards, there's a system for this one. Like, you guys all own Oink games, right? Like, so when like your friend is trying to help and he puts it away and you're like, no, there's a wrong system. You're not following the system. And then it just, anxiety. But this one's not too bad. Let's do the Oink test for this one. There we go. There's the rules. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and yeah, it's a little tight with this one. They divide it up to make it a little bit easier, I think, for setup, and I think that's actually a good thing. I hope to see that in more Oink games. This one is not too bad. You know what's so funny is that so many people have complained about fitting components back into Oink that they made a series of videos about how to store their games. And the publisher actually did that. They made a series of videos about it. But yeah, this is the game. This is really cute. You have these little boat things here, like little tiny boats here, and these are things that are little pointers. You don't put anything on these, but they're just here to point to things. They're pretty much arrows, right? Put this back in the bag, and we're just going to dump it all out here. That may have been a mistake. And then here you go. Now you're gonna make this board with these components here, and oh man, I think I just want to show you the rule book. Is it coming on the back? Nope, it's not on the back. Here you go. So you're gonna set up these little cards here, and you're gonna put them out here. Now there are two versions of these. So like there are two types of these cards. There's these, and then there's these. So what's going to happen is, let's see here, you're going to have chaos. You're going to have 0, 0, 1, 5, 4. Okay. Oh yes. So these are going to be out here, and you're going to put these into like this. Maybe my hands are not big enough. Like a 3 by 4 out here, and they're going to be all face down, right? And then you're going to have these little numbers here in between, right? So you're essentially going to have something that looks like this. So here's what it looks like in the rules here. Right now you can see how these white cards here have numbers on them. And these are all going to be face down during the game, and they're going to be values. So you're going to try and get the ones with the highest value, and that's how you score the most points. And when you do that on your turn, you're going to be taking these arrows and placing them down, or you're going to be taking your boats and placing them down. Now, these boats are great. Like you see, like they have like these little grooves in them. And you're going to take these 3 people. Like one boat's going to have 3 people. One boat's going to have 2. One boat's going to have 1. And you're going to put them in here. And then they're going to put them like this. Like these cute little people here. And what's so cool is that each of these people are unique. Each one is unique. Not one is the same. I mean, yeah, you might have 2 camera people. So you see these 2, like, oh, no. This one has a binocular. This one has a camera. Kind of similar, but different. Each person here is unique. And that's really cool. They didn't have to do that, but they did. And it makes it cool. And you're trying to position them there, and you're trying to get these boats where the orca and the killer whale are going to appear. One's going to appear like at the highest number, and one's going to appear like at the lowest number. And you're trying to slowly deduce. And as you place it there, you can look at the values of these. And you're trying to slowly deduce where like the highest number is and where the lowest number is. And you're trying to figure out where everyone else does. Now, you only have a little bit of information, but you're also getting information from where your opponents go and where they move to. Like someone might look at something and they might run away. It's a really interesting game. I definitely want to make a teach and play of this, but it's just really, really good. The cool thing is that after the first round, you do a second round, and the second round you have like this little variant here. When you do, it's not a variant. You do like these trends, right? So it's another way to score points. So maybe like, okay, well the whale watching season starts, and so now you get double the points for the white whale. Maybe like the orca season starts, and you'll get even more points for the orca. Maybe you get bonus points for 4 if you get like both of them. But it doesn't matter because nobody wants to play with those. Everyone wants to play with this one. Everyone wants this. Everyone wants the fishing season because you take your boats, one of your boats, will have just one person, right? Like one of your boats will just have one person. One will have two. One will have three. You take them out. You kick them away, and then you put a member of NWA. Yeah, NWA onto the boat because like. I don't know. That looks like NWA to me. Like, it's very, very funny. And like, and every time I play this game, like someone makes that joke. It's like, is that NWA? Part of it is my fault because I'm like, all right, second round, guys. We're supposed to randomly choose, but I think we could all decide. I mean, do you want more points for this? Do you want points for that? Or do you want like a cameo from NWA? They're like, what? So, yeah, and it's really, really good. I originally had a problem with the game, and that was that I felt that when you're doing this deduction game here, like the first thing you want to do is go to these center tiles because then you're getting more information. But what I found was that it's mobile information, right? You could look at maybe this one, and that will give you the value of some of the others, but you're not going to get more. So I thought that the initial play would be going to the center, and I posted up on BGG, and then Bruno Feduti, who was the co-designer, Bruno Feduti and Jun Sasaki made this game, just responded. It's like, no, you're wrong, Jay. I'm like, oh my god. He's like, if you go to the side, it's more concrete information, and it's not, and there's less fuzziness there. So it's really nice to get information that's solid and you understand and you know. And I'm like, okay, fine, sorry. And I started playing that way, and it worked. I felt a little more confident in my decisions, and people started watching me. So I was really happy with that. Now I gotta put all of this back. There's also like these little anchors here. So if you're pretty confident that you're gonna be where the whale is, you can put an anchor here underneath your boat, and you can see like this little anchor symbol here, and that just means that you'll get more points if you're right. And they came up with this little sleeve here. I think this one is what you don't need. But yeah, I definitely would not get rid of this insert. I kind of bumbled my way through that. Do you have any questions at all about this game as I put it away? Because it's going to take me a minute to put all of this away. One of the things with about this game though is that setup. If you have any questions, please feel free to type away. One of the games is one of the things with this game is that like when you put this up, like people will just grab and start taking pictures of the boats. So like as you're trying to set up, people are just too busy to help you. Like, I want to take pictures of this. It's so cute. This is a very, very Instagrammable game. I find that really interesting with game design is that game design has changed so much, I think, in the last 15 years. I think the two big factors are one is like social media, and then two is Kickstarter. Kickstarter has completely changed how people design games because you want to like stagger the design in a way. Like if you're going to do like a Kickstarter, you need to not throw everything at once, but like, okay, here's a base game, and then I add another tier to that design. You have to tier that design, which is something that didn't really happen before. And now if you make a game in 2023, it's got to look good. It's got to be Instagrammable, right? It's got to look good for social media posts. You want people taking pictures of your game and sharing it on social media, right? That's something that's got to happen. So I think that when you design games today, that I think publishers think about that. And I think as a designer, you kind of have to, maybe that's not your primary focus, but it should definitely be something that you should be aware of, because if you're pitching to a publisher, they're definitely going to be thinking about it. No questions? You just want to see Jay like slowly put games away? Maybe I could just have a Twitch stream where it's just me unboxing games and just putting them away. This is, how do we do this? There we go. There we go. And then we just dump it slowly in here. So yeah, I'm without a doubt, I'm sure that there's a 3D insert that someone has made out there that's like done this game, and like makes putting Oink games away. But for me, this is part of the experience. All right. Whale to Look. Such an odd name. Moving on. Startups is a great game. I talked about this in my previous video. But like, this is the worst one of the Oink tests. Like, look at that. It's like filled to the brim with these components. And when you buy the game, it looks like this. There's no punch boards. Everything's already pre-punched. Ooh. Are you just going to do Oink games? No. There's going to be Newsboys here. Stick around. Whale to... No. Same as Word to Look. Maybe. I think so. R doesn't really exist in the Japanese language. So maybe it's just like a pun off of the accent. The startups, there's a lot of comments on startups, right? And startups, you are one of several startups. And it's just I can't think about it. It's one of the best versions of draw a card, play a card. And that's all you do on your turn. And you're investing in all these different startup companies. And once you have the most of one, then you can't buy their stock anymore. So you have to luck into a draw, and then at the end of the game, drop it. And then if someone else gets the most, and then you lose control of the most token, and then it goes to someone else, and then you can start adding more. I think it's on the Oink app. Good stuff. This is a great game. I think it's their best version. My favorite part about this is that all these icons look like all these. My wife is telling me that she needs the recorder and she's got to leave at a certain time. But I think we have plenty of time. Don't worry. We got you. My wife is more important to me, but I love all of you. I love that these logos look like real company logos. In fact, they look better than some company logos. I think that's fantastic. Really good. Maskman is an old hand shedding game from way back in the day, and it's not that easy to find. If you find a copy of this, I definitely recommend picking it up. I think it plays really well at 2, 3, and maybe 4. I think 5 and 6 is just way too much for me. But what I love about this ticking game is that, or this hand shading game, is that as you play, you're slowly determining the value of the cards. And I don't know many games. There aren't that many games like that. So when you play one hand, you might realize that, oh, okay, well, I play one this and played 2 of these. So now we know that this is stronger than this. And then maybe in the next hand, we find out that this is stronger than blue. And then as you play your hands, you're slowly deducing and choosing like which one is more valuable. And you can kind of control that and mitigate that with the card play. And I find that really, really fascinating. There aren't that many games that do that. And I love the theme with the Mexican wrestler masks. Really, really good stuff. If you made any content about Dungeon of Mandom 7, I recall you talked about it for each of the top 100 games from Japan. I did talk about that. This is on the top 100 list. This is on the top 100 list. Fake Artist Goes to New York is on the top 100 list. Dungeon of Mandom is on the top 100 list. This is, you might know this from Welcome to the Dungeon. This was originally Dungeon of Mandom something, and then it became Welcome to the Dungeon. And then Welcome to the Dungeon is where it was like in the West. And then Welcome to the Dungeon had an expansion with like more characters. And then Dungeon of Mandom 8, which is what this is, took the Welcome to the Dungeon content and put it into this tiny little Oink box. So it's essentially all those games, but here, and a little bit more, actually. But I love the precision of this. This is probably one of the better, does the Oink test really well. I mean, it comes out pretty tight here. You open it up, there are these cards. You lift up the cards. Oh, my goodness. Here we go. And then now you have these dividers, which has all the different people that you could be as. And just like in the rule of rounds, you go to player counts. 3 rounds is great, but the Super Slam 3 rounds, no matter 3 to 5 players, and I love that. Yeah, I agree, Alex. You're totally right. Like 3 rounds is more than enough. I think 4 or 5, it outstays its welcome. This is a great game, by the way. Like you are essentially one hero with all this amazing gear. You can kill anything. But I guess you have 4 parts of her personality, and you're just saying, well, I could go into this dungeon and get the treasure without this shield. I can go without this sword. I can go without my magic hat, my magic tiara. I can go without my my best friend. And you're just kind of like disrobing in the front. And eventually people are passing. And then before I know it, you might be the only one. And then you're just going in there with like, I don't know, a hammer. And then you have to fight all the monsters that are in the dungeon. What's in addition to that, though, is that you play monsters into the dungeon. So it's really, really fascinating. And you have to remember like which monsters you put in there and when, and you're trying to keep count of which monsters could be in there and which of your weapons are good for what monster. Like you might have like, I don't know, like an orc +7 dagger. And then because it's fine because the orc is in there, it's fine. But someone takes away the dagger and you're like, I'm out because you can't kill that orc because the orc dagger is gone. And it's really, really fun. It only plays 2 to 4 though, which is a little sad because I think it would be better at maybe 2 to 5, maybe even 6. It's better if the players role play, as you're saying. Yeah, I definitely think so. That's true in most games, I find. Although some games would not. I think, could you role play in brass? I guess you could. Insider. This is Insider Black Edition. Now there was Insider, and then Werewords came around, and I liked Werewords actually more than the original Insider because the app just made everything easier because it was a little bit more confusing. But I like Insider Black more than Werewords because of the expansion that's inside. If you like Fake Artist Goes to New York, then Insider Black is pretty much very similar to that. So, my throat. Let me just get some water here. Insider Black is just 20 questions, the card game. So everyone will know what one thing is except for, one person. No one will know what something is except for one person. So there'll be one guy who knows what it is, and you'll take this deck of cards and you'll flip it, and then you'll see, okay, like I'll choose number 4. Okay, 4 is robot. And then people will ask you yes or no questions. So is it alive? Is it human shaped? Is it intelligent? Is it edible? Like things like this. And you have to say yes or no to. And there's a timer involved, right? That's involved there. And the twist is that one person knows what it is and is trying to ask questions. The insider knows what it is and is trying to ask leading questions so people know. And that adds such a twist to the game. And it's really, really good. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I definitely recommend Insider if you really like party games. Hydrating is important. Thank you, Ikari. I'm going to do that now. And then we will get to Newsboys. I do think Werewords is easier to introduce because the app is there and you just tell people that just listen to what the app says. And the moderator doesn't have to speak as much. Werewords is easier to introduce? ? It is, Gary. What's really cool, though, about Werewords and why I really like Werewords is because Werewords, Busy Games does great work anyway, but like Werewords was, thank you. My wife gave me water. My voice is kind of gone from this weekend. Please forgive me. What's really cool about Werewords, though, that this doesn't have, is that Werewords, by Busy Games, does great work. I really like a lot of it online. They Werewords has been licensed internationally, and because it's app based, all these other publishers work with the app to develop it. So when I play it here, I have options. I could play it. You could download the Chinese version of the app, so I could play it in Chinese or I could play it in English. And there are other languages with this app. And that is so cool. Like you can have one game, but you download different apps and the app is free. So yeah, it's just really, really cool. I really, really like that idea for it. And like playing Werewords in Chinese is so hard. Like it's some of them are ridiculously hard. And like when I play sometimes with my foreigner friends who all speak Chinese, and I play with my Taiwanese friends who all speak Chinese, and that the reveal, and we're like, how is that possible to guess that? I would say it's even more difficult. Like hard English is hard, but the hard Chinese is even harder. All right, I promise you, Newsboys. So let's get to it. Any questions about Newsboys or anything else before we move on? Just let me know. I'm going to have another sip of water to hydrate. Nope. Okay, moving on. Now, Newsboys is the latest game from Sashi and Sashi. And what's really cool, and Sashi told me this, is that he originally kind of designed it as a war game, but his wife doesn't like war games, and so he had to retheme it to Newsboys, and it works. It works really, really well. Sashi likes war games, which you don't really expect from that, but his wife doesn't like drawing them, so he does a different thing, which is great. I think that's great. Newsboys, I think, is really interesting because, and I've only played this 2 times, and I think it's really interesting. So I still don't know how I feel about it. Right now, I'm thinking that I think I still like Let's Make a Bus Route more than Newsboys. But I'm not saying that this is a bad game because this is a really good game. I think I like this a little more than this. Must make wifey happy. Yeah. Secret to a good marriage, right? But I would say, the other secret is you got to make you got to make each other happy. This game comes with English rules, 1 to 4, and the Japanese rules. Just like Let's Make a Bus Route, the dice game, like this rule book is pretty thick. Like it goes, I don't know, you have 3 pages, goes to 20. This is 20-page rule book. Now the 20th page is the back, but like up all the way to the 19th, like you're already here. Like it's pretty detailed, really well written and very clear, but just very, very detailed. So you do need to read through this, but I think you can kind of plow through it pretty quickly. It's not too difficult. You get the nice little advertisement. I'm milking this time. I know. I'm sorry. And you can see all these games. Now, Saashi does have 10 games, so I could do a top 10 list. I did a top 10, 8 list there, and then here they are here. I think he has 11 games now. I'm sorry. And here we go. Now, with Newsboys plays 1 to 4, and I want to talk about this. So just hang in there with me. Let's Make a Bus Route is 1 to 2. If you're playing familiar with this game, I'll compare them right now. This plays 1 to 4, and there's no styrofoam here. This plays 1 to 2, and there is styrofoam here. And the reason why you do that is that when you roll dice, you get a nice little muffle sound. Take some dice here. All right. And when you roll it here, not obnoxious. I like it. Gary says, at least recently, have all games from Oink and Sashi and Sashi include Japanese and English rules and boxes, even if sold domestically? Yes. I would say yes. I think Oink just does this now as a default. Like it's just easier for them and cheaper too, that they'll just put all the rules into the game. Sashi and Sashi, yeah, most of the games that I've played from him, I actually can't think of any Sashi and Sashi game I've bought that didn't have English rules in it. Yeah, like all the games have English rules inside. Maybe yeah, all the games that I bought from Sashi and Sashi all had English and Japanese. All right, so the reason why this happens is because in this, the 2-player game, the players share the dice that's used. So it makes sense to have this in the center and where it's constantly used. This doesn't have it here because you have your own dice, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. I don't want to confuse these. Let's see here. The second thing that I do want to mention. Sashi wrote in there. Good old Sashi. The second thing I do want to mention is that with Let's Make a Bus Route, the dice game, there are only 3 boards, right? And they're all pretty thick and sturdy. Like each of them are all pretty thick and sturdy. This Newsboys is a 1 to 4 player game. So I am a little disappointed with how thin these are. So I'll put them up here and maybe you can see. There you go. So you can see like how the Let's Make a Bus Route, the dice game boards are a lot thicker than these. I would say they are twice as thick. Let's find out. Let's do the math. Yeah, I would say a little less than half. So 2 of these is slightly more than 1 of these. So these are pretty thick, pretty sturdy. You know, Let's Make a Bus Route. You win there. Good job. Let's Make a Bus Route. We'll put that away. And now we can just focus on Newsboys. And then maybe we could play a game of Newsboys. So I think we might have time. These are really thin. Like that's like lightning. That's like pretty wafer thin. And because of that, there's a slight warping factor there. I mean, this is all petty stuff. So don't get me wrong there. These boards all are the same roughly. And the only difference is, and you can see here in the top corner, that all the boards, the colors on all the boards are slightly different, right? So blue, red, yellow, green. So the locations of the colors are different, but the shapes of all the districts are all the exact same. Each of these boards are double-sided. So this is the multiplayer board. And then this is the solo board. And if you want to see what the difference is, the only difference is the solo board has this extra grid here. Moving on. Now, the twist of Newsboys is the fact that it is a flip and write and a roll and write. It's both. And I don't know. Maybe there's another game that does that. I don't know of another game that does that. So what you're going to do in the game is you're going to have the stick of cards, which is shown here, and you're going to flip. Sorry, this is the round end card that's going to be shoved somewhere here, and so it appears it's over. And this is for the solo game. There we go. So you're going to take one of these cards, and then you're going to flip it over like that. All right, and you'll see 3 icons there. And you're going to treat this as dice. Like, imagine if they were dice that were rolled, and the players just share this. And then each player has 3 dice, and all these dice are the exact same. So, like, if you never play this game with 4 people, then there'll be 3 dice that you never use. So in a 3-player game, you use 9, 2-player 6. In the solo game, you use 3. And you'll take these, and then you'll roll them. And then the dice that you could use for the roll and write are the dice that you rolled and the cards that appear. And after you roll, you're going to choose like one color. So maybe, for example, like you flip this card over, and then now there are like 2 blue icons here. And then maybe you rolled, and I believe you have like one. Yeah, it's one free reroll. And then maybe like there's a lot of blue. You just lucked out and you push for blue, and then you got a lot of blue. And then you choose blue, and it's 5 blue, and then you have that much to use. And then there's different things that you could do on here. So let's talk about that. So let's say if you choose blue, let's say you choose like blue 3, and if you have 3 blue icons, well, then you'll choose 3 blue to fill. Now, this is the first X, and then you got to draw from here. So everything has to come from here. And when you fill these up, you notice that each of these, like, let's say, look at this green one here. So you have 3 empty green and then the green icon here. So when you fill this up, you got to fill these 3 first, and the icon is filled last. So if you do like 3 green, then you do 3 here, and then later on, you can block this off. But you don't have to finish that. So if the X is here, you can go to 2 blue, and you could slowly expand from here. And naturally, like if you want to fill up this, let's say, and you have 4 blue, well, then that last X is just kind of wasted. But instead of spreading your publication here across this map, and really quickly, you can notice that this is like section A. You see the little arrow A, and you see this little dotted line here, and here, and here. So you have A, B, C, D. And well, those are for points at the end of the game. You know, if you're the first person to fill it up, then you get 7. Second, you get 4. Yada yada yada, and then you'll add those up at the end of the game. That'll be your total. But instead of putting X's here, you could also put X's like here. And this will be the protest thing. And eventually, like one of these cards will appear, and then you'll be a timing thing. And you'll get, depending on like how strong your protest is and how much money you have here on the money, by crossing the money, then you'll score that many points. So this is like, I believe, how do I remember? It's the score, right? It's the score that sets the maximum, and then the number is what it is, I believe. Yeah, so the protest numbers here go up. And if you can notice here at the top, it's like 1, 2, 3, 5. No matter where you are, so let's say you're here like at 2 to 3. So you're here, and you didn't get to 3 yet, you're at 2. And then maybe your money goes up. Well, it doesn't matter where the money is. Like whatever your highest number is, that's the most you can get. So if the money's at 5, you write 5 here, but you're only at 2, then you only get 2. You could have gotten 5, but you're stuck at 2. So you need to get both of these tracks pushed up in order to score more points. This is these little buildings that you get to fill up. And you slowly get that. And if you fill up get to the first column, then you get this, and 3 and 1, that's here. And the next column fills this up. And the game ends when you get to 2 columns, I believe. Or 2 colors are completely filled. And that's the game. It's not the most complicated roll and write, but it's very, very smooth. And I really like the pushing up of the 3 different tracks, because you're going here for the area control, you're going here for the points, and then you're also going here for points as well. And balancing that out is fun. It's really, really smart. And you can kind of play the game and not pay attention too much to what other people are doing. But you still are in a way, because you can see that if someone's going for A, then you can start pushing more towards B. If someone's pushing towards A and B, then you push more to D. And these are things that all kind of come into play in your mind. Do you have any questions so far? Whew. I gave myself 3 hours, but I think we did this in 2. Now, for the solo rules, it's going to be a little bit different. I think the solo rules have like these little timing cards that are going to trigger like when you can score, and you'll have to deal these out through the deck. That's really well done. Like the rule book is really, really, really well done. So I have no complaints there. But I like this. I don't know if it's a better roll and write than a lot of other games I've played, a lot of other roll and writes I've played. But I find I still like Let's Make a Bus Route the dice game more. But I feel like I haven't played this enough yet to really make up my mind. Rob German says, thanks for the overview. Looks interesting. I think it is. You should be able to play this game at Essen. So I would definitely recommend like getting to a table and then seeing if it's for you. I wanted to do this to give you guys a good idea of how the game is. And you could definitely see how it could be a war game instead of just 1890s newsboys like spreading their newspaper publications across this peninsula. In terms of like the dry erase boards, like it's the same one as Let's Make a Bus Route, and the supplier does a really good job. Like this is not, those markers haven't run out for me yet, and I don't think these will either. It's the cushion box cover. Yeah, it could be, man. Like this is just really, really nice. Like the game really didn't even have to have this, and I don't even use this a lot of the times, just because like this is just high enough that it can be kind of hard to see some of the dice if the die roll that hugs one of the edges. But I am a little disappointed that these are kind of thin. I kind of wanted them to be thicker. When you put this into the game box itself, like you can kind of see that there's enough space there for the rule book, but I think they could have gone maybe a little thicker with the boxes. I don't know. Maybe they couldn't have. Maybe they pushed it to the limit. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that thin wafer thing wasn't enough for them. But that was Newsboys. I think it's really good. It comes to the way it's sold out. I think it is by far the better game. This is still a really good roll and write, and it's very clever. The idea of having a flip and write and roll and write together makes it really interesting. That players have unique dice that they all have to share, and that they're owned separately that they can't. And that's like an idea that came from walk-in roll, which is, see, I lean here because it's naturally one of the things I think about. Oh, one last thing is Oink has 3 new games coming to Essen, right? So we talked about Whale to Look is one. Tiger and Dragon is the other. And then they have one Essen release. And I don't have that game because it's only going to be released at Essen. But I'll tell you all about it. It is a new version of an old game called Order Overlord. And I'm going to see if I can find it. Okay, hold on. Cat Poker to the rescue. Do you know this game? This is, anyway, Sai Beppo does great work. She's, this art is so cute. So Cat Poker is going to come to my aid here. You'll see me talk about Cat Poker maybe later this year. This will be at Tokyo Game Market in this December. So in Order Overload, which is the new Oink game, I'm going to put some Oink games here to remind everyone that I'm talking about Oink. So let's put that wall of Oink games back up. Cool. All right. So Order Overlord is a memory game. And you're gone. You left. You're like, it's gone. I'm not interested in memory games, Jay. Bye. That's fine. I understand. When I first heard about it, I'm like, okay, I'm done. But I played Nana, and I love Nana. That's a memory game. All right, so Order Overlord. Why is that so hard to say? It's a memory game. And if you look at it on BGG, you'll see that each of the cards will have 2 heads here and then like a talking bubble in between. And it's just words. And it could be something like latte or like Americano or macchiato. And these are different types of drinks that you get at a cafe, coffee drinks. And Kenny says, I was going to say the same thing. Nana has restored my faith in memory games. Yeah, I agree. Like, Nana's just so good, right? So good. But today we're talking about Order Overlord. And we'll talk about Nana in a second. Order Overlord it's really interesting. Like you pick up like a deck of cards, like a hand of cards, like for the players. Let's say there's 5 cards here. And remember, each card has 2 talking heads and a voice bubble in between. With like latte, macchiato, carmiato, I don't know, Americano. I don't know, like an iced latte. And these 3 orders, you shuffle them up face down, and then you give them to everyone, and then you gotta guess what everyone's card is. That's it. That's the game. And whether or not you find that fun is up to you. Like, it's really good with the right group of people. Now, this version of Order Overlord is different because they're not coffee drinks. They are board games. Board games from Oink, naturally, because it's an Oink game, but also games from Itten, because Itten will be at that booth, and games from Saashi, because Saashi will be there. So you'll have games from Saashi, games from itten, and games from Oink in the new Order Overlord, which I think is fine. I actually think that's easier to remember the board games, at least for me. Order Overlord, I think, to me, like, it didn't push the boundary of what I wanted it to be. Like, I wanted crazy order cards in there, like stuff like a half double decaf, half calf with a twist of lemon, like crazy stuff like that, just to make it really ridiculous and really funny. And someone has to remember, it's like, you want a half double decaf, half calf with a twist of lemon. You want a double macchiato with a whipped cream and cinnamon sprinkles. Like, I think that would have been really funny. Like, you don't have to have all the cards be like that, but every now and then one of those, just to make it really challenging. Gary says, I noticed Takarai didn't do the art for the sequel, Get On Board, Paris and Roma. Does Sashi not like to do expansions? The Japan published games don't have them. Good question. Well, let's see, Gary. So Gary said, so let's do a history lesson really quickly here. But that was Order Overlord. That's the other Oink game. Those are the 3 new games they have. They have Dragon, Tiger and Dragon, Whale to Look, and Order Overlord, which is not cat poker. I would recommend, out of those 3, I recommend Tiger and Dragon, because this game is just so good. All right, moving on. So to ask Gary's question, Gary said, I noticed Takarai didn't do the art for the sequel, Get On Board, Paris and Roma. Does Sashi not like to do expansions? The Japan published games don't often have them. That is true. Japanese publishers often do not have expansions. There are exceptions. There are exceptions. So, for example, Akazu brand did Metro X, and Metro X has, like, I don't know, 2 official expansions and like several promos. I mean, you could add Metro X maps like indefinitely, right? So let's give 1 second, move on. Oh, okay, that was terrible. Okay, all right, I'm back. Woohoo! So a long time ago, Sashi made Let's Make a Bus Route, the flip and write game. This was very unique because at the time it was not common, and even today it's not common, that you have a roll and write with a is it because there's another note from Sashi there, with a common board. Because usually for a roll and write, everyone has their own board, but this is one that had a shared board, which is really cool. And this was a big hit. Like, people really liked it. And then he made a dice game, like several years later, called Let's Make a Bus Route, the dice game. Now, there's been a new trend in the last few years of more and more publishers from the West licensing games from Asia. So Let's Make a Bus Route became Get On Board. And I have Get On Board somewhere here. Give me a second. Here it is. Became this. So Yellow picked it up and made Get On Board. This is the Chinese version of Get On Board, made by Broadway's Games. And one of their games is really, really good this year. You should definitely check that out. But the thing is that, like, the biggest market in Europe is France, and France doesn't like Asian art, or at least that's how publishers feel. Like, it's not like there aren't many weebs, like in America. They have, like, it's very common for teenagers, people in the 20s, 30s, and even in the 40s now, like, saying, like, yeah, Attack on Titan's really good, but have you seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood? Like, that's really, really good. Like, that's better than anything. I watch a new anime series, and I'd rather watch this. Or people talk about, like, Cowboy Bebop, how Cowboy Bebop was, like, the first anime that had really good English dub and Japanese dub. It was almost probably just as good as the original. Like, people talk about that. And it's okay, because we like this anime style. And, like, even American cartoons changed their format to fit more of that anime style. And I could talk about this all day. But that type of art style doesn't really work in France for whatever reason. So when you license a game, typically you pay, I'm a publisher from, like, one country and there's another publisher in another, and I want to license your game, I pay X percentage for the mechanics, and I pay X percentage for the art. And sometimes the publisher doesn't want to sell the mechanics or the art. Sometimes they just want to sell the art. Sometimes they want to sell the art, but it's got to be at a higher price. Or maybe the publisher who buys the game doesn't want to buy the art and they want to redo the art. So I believe that this is a situation to where Yellow didn't want to buy Takako Takarai's art, and they wanted to have their own. So that's why Takako Takarai didn't do the art for Get On Board, I believe, because they thought that this art style would sell better. And then this sold so well that they came out with an expansion, Paris and Roma. So I hope that answers your question, Gary. Kenny asks, will the Kyoto green version of Let's Make a Bus Route get reprinted? Kenny, that's a great question. I don't think so. I asked Sashi about that a long time ago because Sashi is from Kyoto. He lives in Kyoto. And I asked him, what's the difference? He's like, no, it's just a cover. So I mean, it's definitely a collector's item. I don't only get it if you're a collector. You could probably find it online in Japan somewhere. I'm pretty sure. And if you go to a secondhand store in Japan, maybe you can find it. Not impossible, but you can find it. Though, if you're going into, if you don't know which of these two games to get, I typically recommend this one because this has two maps. This has one map. You saw a map board here. It's double-sided, but it's the same map. This has two maps usually, and it's for player size, like one for like a lower player count, one for a higher player count. But you could use the higher player count board for the lower player count if you just want like nice, big, lots of space. So that's why I typically say that. And also with the expansion now you have more maps. So, but I like the art style of this more than this one. I hope that answers your question. Let's see here. Gary says, should be nice to have board games like the reimplementation of vegetable stock. Should be nice to have board games like that. Yeah, I think so. Well, I mean, like Taiwan does a new one of vegetable stock every year, right? So this is the new version of vegetable stock that comes out for the Taipei Original Board Game Expo. And if you ever want to come to Taiwan, definitely come sometime in September, where the Toby, Taiwan Original Board Game Expo, Toby, is every year. It's an annual event. And there are more and more publishers coming from Asia there. But it's green. I know, Kenny. It's green. It did answer my question. Strange. I thought France localized lots of Japan manga. Hey, man, it's weird, right? Like the board game industry is just different. Takarai is a genius. I agree. So hopefully that answers your question there. Oh, I do want to mention that Itten will be there, and Itten has a lot of new games. They're pushing the Funbrick series. But if you find Crash Octopus, I can't recommend Crash Octopus enough. This is my favorite dexterity game of all time. It's just so much fun. Really, really good. I did a video of this, and I definitely check that out. Paul Wei Wang asked, did you get around to why it's called Sashi and Sashi? Oh, well, no one guessed. Did anyone guess? I heard some guesses, but no one guessed, and I wanted to give everyone a guess. Do you know why it's called Sashi and Sashi? Because it's not called Sashi and Takako. It's called Sashi. Crash Octopus is the first cardboard East recommendation I purchased. Much love, Kenny. Much love. Husband and wife team. No, it's not that. That's like Bernardo and Bernardo, right? My last name is Bernardo. It's not Bernardo. Sashi's a nickname. That's not why. Because when he started his publishing company, it was just him. Like his wife was just doing her own thing, and he just wanted to do it himself. It's called Sashi and Sashi because Sashi was his nickname when he was a kid, and he played, board games. And then there was a whole bunch of time where he didn't play games. And then somewhere like later on in his life, like in his 30s, he started playing board games. And then people started calling him Sashi again. And people remembered, oh, yeah, you had a nickname called Sashi. I will call you Sashi now. And so it's this idea of Sashi of his youth and Sashi of his adulthood come together as one. And that's Sashi and Sashi. It's this idea of my old love for games and the new designer in me of mature designer in me and putting those together. And that's Sashi and Sashi. And that's the idea of his name, which is beautiful, I think. Itten, if you want to know the story behind Itten and their name, like Itten's like here, like Itten right here, the other publisher, I asked them recently, like, what's the story behind the name? Itten means like 1 point. And the idea is they want to make games tight to where it's just you win by 1 point, because those can be like some of the best games, like where it's really, really close at the end. Because, you know, having a game like where like the runaway leader effect can be not as fun sometimes. And like, I think was it Shut Up and Sit Down, like the podcast, they said they didn't know what's worse, player elimination or forced to play a game for another 40 minutes that you know you're not going to win. Like, what? I don't know what's worse. Sashi 360, yeah, I didn't think that. I love the Sashi and Sashi story. It's really good, right? I did not see that coming. He's explaining that to me. Really fascinating stuff. I have no idea why it's called Oink. I need to sit down and Saki-san again and make sure to ask him. But yeah, Crash Octopus is a really great game. If they have this at Essen, definitely grab it because it's just mind-blowingly amazing. And if you have like a blue tablecloth that to simulate the ocean, so good. So good. Or you win by 1 nut. That's right. I will say that I will just give you some spoilers here. Like this is still hasn't been revealed yet on my top. I still have 30 more games to go for my top 100 board games from Japan. This is going to be in that list. Wind the Film. Wind the Film is in my top 10 games from Japan of all time. Now, if I had to redo that list, Come Sail Away will probably be in that top 10 as well because it's that good. Really, really good. I can't recommend that enough. And I think we are slowly coming to an end. I think I talked about most of the games there. I gave myself 3 hours, but it looks like we did it in 2. Does anyone have any questions before we go? I'm going to start slowly putting all of this away. You might be able to see from this corner here. You can. This is Square on sale. This will not be at Essen. Might be. There might be a mass trade for it. This is in my top 10 greatest board games from Japan. It is amazing. This is my favorite bidding game. Mind-blowingly good. Thanks for the share. All right. So I think this booth is probably going to be a continuation. I think that it's going to be really successful in Hall 2. And I think that Itten, Oink, and Sashi, they're all friends, by the way, and they all talk to each other all the time. And I think that they're going to have this booth every year, I think. Because it's better. Because if all 3 of them are together in one booth, then more people are going to come. And I think it's just better for all of them. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for the live stream. Really learned a lot. I can't wait. Did you cover anything before the Oink games? Yeah, I covered, Rob, I covered all the Sashi games. I covered the latest Sashi game, Come Sail Away. But I also did a video review of this and a playthrough, so you can check those out. I think this is the best game of the year from Asia for 2023. I would be surprised if it's not number 1 because it's just that good. I do recommend that if you go to Essen this year, this might be one that you want to run and get first, like on day 1. Well, the Japanese pigs say boo boo. Boo boo. Okay. I don't know how to deal with that information. But yeah, these 2 are probably my favorites from that booth. If I had to pick an Oink game from that booth, I got to go with Ninja Master. If I could find it here somewhere there. Oh my goodness, where did it go? Did it disappear? Did the Ninja vanish? No, there you go. Yeah, these would be my 3 from that booth. These are the ones that I would pick. And like Ninja Master is tough for me to say because like it's really, really close with Viking Seesaw. I know Viking Seesaw's upside down, but if I do it upside down, it's going to open and then chaos that I don't want. So these are the 4 that I recommend from that booth. Oh, for what it's worth. In Japanese, pigs say boo boo. Okay. You heard it here. And yeah, that's the booth. I think that this is going to be a trend that you'll see more and more. Next year, not this year, but next year, Essen is going to be an amazing year for Asian board games because ArcLight is coming. ArcLight does games. ArcLight runs Tokyo Game Market, and they're going to have their own booth there at Essen next year. Now, what does that mean? I have no idea because I do have an idea, and I'll share that with you right now. Because before there was Japan brand, Japon brand, Japan brand. Japan brand would take lots of games from like random like little Japanese publishers, bring them to Essen, and then show them off and sell them. And that's a great model and it worked really well. But now like ArcLight is coming, and they said, but ArcLight isn't coming as ArcLight, they're coming as Game Market. Now, in case you didn't know, like every year, ArcLight does they license games from the Game Market. So they do kind of like a top, I don't know, 20 games. So like say 2023 came out, and then they'll take the games like from 2019 or 2020, like their top 10 favorite, license them, repackage them, and then release them. So a good example of that is this one. This is Hachi Train. I like this more than Scout. I played this more than Scout. I like this a lot more than Scout. Hachi Train was a big game that came out a few years ago, like 2021. And then it got repackaged by ArcLight, licensed by ArcLight, and they called it now Nana Toradori. And Nana Toradori is pretty much the same. Card count is a little bit different, and they have meeples instead of cards. This is just cards. And they repackaged it. So what I think is going to happen, and they do that with a lot of games, not just this one, but a lot of games. So you go to 2023 Game Market, and then you go to the ArcLight booth, which is in the center of the entire expo, and they'll have their new licensed games from previous years released that year. So if I had to guess what the Game Market booth is at Essen, I think it's going to be ArcLight's games. Like these are the hits from Game Market from previous years and past, and here they are repackaged with maybe a better theme, a little slightly better art that might resonate better, or sell better in Europe. And I think that's what the Game Market booth is going to be. If I had to guess, that's what it is. Hachi Chain is better than Nana Toradori, Kenny. Yeah, I agree. I think it's better. I think having 8 cards, the ranking go from 8 is much better than 7. So that's what I think that's going to be. But at the same time, like you're going to have, ArcLight Games is going to be there. Japan brand is still probably going to be there. And then you have Sashi, Itten, and Oink is probably going to have their own booth as well. So you have these 3 booths that are going to be there. All about, that just means more Japanese games coming to Europe. And I think that's a big win for everybody. So that's something to look forward to, like in the future. But there are more games from Japan coming to you on this list. I do want to mention that the Cardboard East Call to Collection auction is still going on. Most of these games that you see behind me will be up for auction. So I'll put a link down below for that. And you can go to BGG and just look up Cardboard East Call to Collection auction, where I'm auctioning off 242 games. And you can see those every day this week. So today is Monday for me. It might be Sunday night for you. But at the same time, for me, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 a.m. Taiwan time, I'm going to be reviewing games. So I'm going to move this camera here really quickly. And might give you a headache. I do apologize. Oh, chaos. So we're going to sit here really quickly. These are games that I will be reviewing later this week. Hey, howdy. There's a big box here. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to do a squat lift. There's a big box here of games. I'm going to be talking about all these games this week. These are games from Korea, from Thailand, from Taiwan, from all over Asia, and I'm going to be talking about them all week. So stick around all this week and check out all these live streams. If you go to Twitter, I put my schedule for the first 4 days up, and you can see those, and you can talk to me and prepare questions and throw them at my way. I'm going to go back now, and I want to sit down here. Here we go. Sorry for all that chaos there with the camera. And here we go. All right. And that's it. Right? All the games make great room insulation. That's true. That's true. There's no more echo here. All right, gang. Thank you so much for watching. Please check out the Cardboard East Cold Collection auction on BGG. If you have any questions, feel free to tag me at social and any of my socials. I'm pretty much every social at Cardboard East. I'll see you in the next live stream. Bye-bye.